Second. Any more discussion?
I'm going to make a comment here. I may shock everybody with this, but you know, I appreciate greatly the comments, and I actually agree with what Alderman Elliott said earlier, even though I'm looking at a different option. But you know, if we're going to do something to make a difference, then let's do something that makes a difference. And if we go with option one, which I can live with, but if we go with that, then let's go back through our budget and find another 50,000, find another 100, and come up with numbers that are going to make a material change. I think we need to consider that. You know, as everybody knows, I mean, there's no secret, as we add more people, which I'm not opposed to doing, we're gonna water it down. And if we're going to make an attempt to make a difference for these folks, let's make it a real attempt. If everybody's heart and mind is in the place that we want to go with option one, the 15 years or more, then let's find a little more money. I'm not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wouldn't suggest any more than another 100. But another 100 is going to put some more in there. Again, as we have all said and we all know, nothing's going to make a difference. But let's go back and see if we can find a few more bucks and put in there.
I think the age factor should enter into it myself. I mean, that's who the people we're really going to help are the ones that are closer to retirement and have been here over 15 years. So I would like to go with option 3.
Do we have a motion?
I know. This is very difficult, y'all.
Well, all we have to do is vote down this motion, and then we can move to the next one. So this motion isn't yay or nay. It's just we're eliminating one possibility with this vote.
It does not preclude the possibility of adding more later, as Alderman Honkin has suggested.
And I agree with Alderman Honkin, and I've had discussions with all of you and with Mr. Smoke that I think if we say, okay, all the money we got is in this one little fund that we happen to have in this year's budget, and that's all we're willing to put to it, then yeah, we're kind of limited in what we can do. But we do have a balanced budget, and we do have funds, and we'll have hopefully increasing revenues as some new significant businesses open in town, and I've expressed a willingness to look to some future revenues. I wouldn't want to commit to anything beyond my tenure in office, but I think we probably could find some more money that would make a difference, weighted more toward the people who are going to be impacted the most, and I would be willing to consider something like that. And here again, not an astronomical sum, but something along the lines of what Alderman Honkin had mentioned.
David, just out of curiosity, you know, we kind of have, and we really have one school of thought here. We just have a couple different methods by how we're trying to get there. Would it be possible for us to give consideration and stay within the laws that we're subject to, where I may oversimplify this, but we said, okay, let's do option 1 and option 3. So, you know, we get everybody that has 15 years or more, the amounts that are stated, and then we find, you know, what, an additional 90+ thousand, and did option 3 as well.
You could certainly do both. I mean, that's not a problem. The issue is the funding of both options.
Yeah, we need to find the money first, but
right. And so if you do want to fund those, it would require another budget amendment to add those. Obviously, we don't have. There would be no more remaining funds in the insurance fund, so you would need to pull those from most likely general fund reserves or CIP reserves, something like that, in order to make up that difference.
But it is a two-part thing, and we have one on the.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to get clarity if we could do that. So, I would, even though we haven't voted, I would support, you know, option 1, and then coming back and seeing if we can't find the dollars to do option 3 as well. It's similar in concept to what we've done for future money. You know, where we have We had the first 6 options. We picked the one, and then we did the supplemental plan. This is just a little bit of a hybrid of that. And I think it's something to take a look at. So,
Have a motion and a second on plan number 1. Any more discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Elliott.
Yes.
Alderman Honkin. Alderman LaMarche. Alderman Markley.
Yes.
Mayor McGill.
Yes. All right, we'll revisit this again after we take some more look at the budget.
Can we not include option 3 now and find the money later?
No, that would be reckless.
Okay.
There, I would be glad to, at the next board meeting, show some options for funding option 3, if that's the direction the board is. I think that's what I'm hearing from the board is find some additional dollars.
Yep.
Okay.
Next item is second reading ordinance 11-22, ordinance to amend the Farragut zoning ordinance chapter 4, section 24, special events permit to modify requirements and clarify application process.
We talked about this fairly extensively at the last board meeting. The purpose of this ordinance amendment is to incorporate the Shop Farragut program into the special event permit signage requirements, and also to more clearly identify the approval process with regards to if there's outdoor sales and things like that, with including some plans with that. At the last meeting, we changed the 10-ounce scrim vinyl to a minimum of 10 millimeter corrugated plastic, still affixed to studded T-posts for the ground signs. I know there was some discussion at the Planning Commission meeting with regards to whether that was a good idea or not. Staff is still in support of the change to the 10 millimeter corrugated plastic minimum, and we recommend approval of ordinance 1122.
I just wanted to get your clarification. There were some comments from an individual as well as reported in the press about concerns about this being floppy, sagging, blowing in the wind, signs that are just kind of fluttering around like kites or something. And I just wanted to get your professional opinion on some of those comments relative to what is before us.
We believe that the corrugated plastic is a much better material. Our experience has been that the banner material is more of a problem. There is no doubt that on real windy days that the corrugated plastic can be damaged or ruined. Some of it depends on how it's anchored, but we consistently, when people have gone with banner material and they've supposedly affixed it to a hard surface, that has not been consistent, and it has been a consistent problem. I know that David Purvis, with his business, he has had the corrugated plastic for years, and there really hasn't been any problems with it. Now, if you get a really big sign, you're going to need more anchors, because in the middle you can get the bowing, but you get that with the banners, only the bowing is this way rather than bowing this way or this way. But I'll defer to David because he's had personal experience.
I'm David Purvis of 605 Warrendale, President of Farragut Business Alliance. Farragut Wine and Spirits, we've used this 10 millimeter corrugated plastic for the last 4 years on our sign. It's been very durable. It's been very resistant to the weather. It's worked for us. A number of the businesses in town have used the same material, and it's worked. We were not familiar with the other material and not had the experience with it to say that we felt comfortable with it. This material is fairly rigid. It doesn't bow as much as long as it's propped up, staked out properly, but it just seems to hold the colors and the materials just so much better in our experience so far. So I mean, that's why we came to the table with that suggestion.
We like the corrugated plastic at the staff level much better.
Planning Commission liked the scrim vinyl, didn't they? Wasn't that their
Well,
recommendation?
Actually, that was because that was what was originally came out of the Farragut Business Alliance. I think there was a miscommunication, and so they were more or less not wanting to disagree with what was recommended to them. Ron and the mayor can correct me, but that was my understanding, my recollection of it. Ron Rochelle, who owns a sign business and on the Planning Commission, he actually does advocate and continues to advocate the scrim vinyl. He was here, but it's his anniversary tonight, so he left. But at the staff level, we still believe the corrugated plastic is a better material.
Part and parcel of this ordinance amendment, right?
Right. The changes have been incorporated as we discussed at the last meeting. If you look at page 3D, on the top of the page, it's got all signs shall be a minimum 10 millimeter corrugated plastic, and that's dealing with the general requirements for commercial, office, and not-for-profit, non-profit entities. And then for the category C, freestanding schools, churches, and other places of worship, on page 6, letter D, it is also the 10 millimeter corrugated plastic, and so that change has been incorporated into this ordinance, and we do recommend approval of it.
What is a studded T-post? Is that like?
That's the best way I can compare it to.
It's a fence post.
Yeah, one of these.
I Googled it, so
cross-section.
that was the best analogy comparison I could come up with.
When I read the ordinance, I wasn't sure what it was either. Googled it as Ruth did and found out that's what we've been using all along. It's basically a fence post. It's a T shape. It's got some studs on the outside of it where that when you tie something off to the grommets,
They don't slide up and down.
it'll give you something to cinch onto. And so that's actually been a majority of the posts that have been used by most people. I didn't know what they were until this came up. So.
Understanding that, I'm wholeheartedly in favor of it. I make a move that we approve ordinance 11-22 as written.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One thing from the FBA standpoint, we met with David Smoke and Ruth Hawk yesterday to discuss some suggested changes to this ordinance, but also in an effort to dovetail this new ordinance with the celebratory ordinance, which is I think number 20. It's under miscellaneous or something. But we're trying to make sure that this ordinance addresses shop Farragut signage and special event signage, as well as the other community events. So I want to make sure that going forward, we sort of have an agreement with staff that we're going to look at how special events or community-based events, town-sponsored events are governed under the celebratory signage ordinance, because that would give us the ability to have a little bit oversized signage based on the needs of the event, such as Picnic on the Pike, Taste of Farragut, Red, White, and Blues, things like that. Those are events that are actually sponsored by the town and driven by FBA. So we would want to make sure that those events fall under that other ordinance. So
We kind of talked about that at the last meeting, and I had said that staff finally refers to that ordinance as the special events. That'll be coming before you in